Welcome to Acts Christian Church, where you're the head and not the tail.
This is the year of the family.
Welcome to our community engagement program. Thanks for joining us. Well, you know me. I like to make sure that we can be relevant. And as you can see from our panel, we've got a really good discussion that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Who I've got today is Mike Associates and Mike Hosannah Associates. And they're a financial institution, and they're such a blessing to me and my family for over, I would say, at least 40 years. And you know what? I love their slogan. It says, making your financial future our priority. Now, as a minister of the gospel, I have seen where people have not taken out relevant insurances to take care of themselves, and they've left the burden on their family members and even on themselves. And so for me, it's about putting your house in order. And so I brought them here today that we could discuss and see how you could also be better equipped. I've got Mike, a good friend of mine, Mike Hosannah, and his wife, Bridget.
Hello, Bishop.
God bless you. And Aaron. These are specialists in their field, in the financial services. And we're going to go through what type of services there are out there. And I believe the name and the email address, contact numbers at the bottom of our screens, that if you feel that you need to engage with them after or during this particular broadcast, I think it could change your life. So, less of me, let's actually talk about the real reason we're here. Life insurance. Do you have life insurance? Who's going to kick us off? Life insurance. How important is life insurance to an individual, to a family?
I would say, Bishop, it's very, very important, because without life insurance, there can be a lot of problems financially. Now, with us, I've been in this industry over 45 years.
45 years?
Yes.
In this industry?
Industry.
As Mike Hosannah Associates?
As Mike Hosannah Associates. My wife, Bridget, she's been there over 40 years also. But originally she was there in the capacity as the administrator. But because I'm getting old now, so I'm taking a back seat.
Looking good though.
And she's
looking good.
She's in the forefront. She's now qualified, and she's doing what I still do sometimes, but I'm more or less in the background.
So life insurance then. So let's break that. I mean, let's throw in the team, I suppose. How dangerous is it for an individual in life nowadays to be walking around without any life insurance?
Can I step in there? It's extremely important, because in this country, we don't pay the importance on life insurance as much as in America and Canada and other countries. Without life insurance, you can't really survive. But people insure their cars, and they insure their laptops and everything else, and they pay the least bit of importance to their life. And without your life, everything else is not important. And that's why life insurance is so important. But it's not just life insurance for yourself. A lot of people say, oh, when they're dead, and they don't really care. But
I've heard loads of
do
people.
you really don't care? Do you really want your
burden it
family
leaves.
to have the burden of finding the money to even to bury you if you don't want to leave anything else for your loved ones?
I mean, can I ask a question? I'll just throw it out. Is life insurance that expensive?
It's
No,
Aaron, you
it's,
can answer.
it's very much not. It's kind of the entry point into the financial security side of things, into protecting your assets and your debts and your family, really. It can be as cheap as sort of £10, sort of really increasing from there, really. The most important thing I think around life insurance is that there is a bit of an archaic hold on people's perception on insurers paying their claims.
Okay.
And
Lack of confidence in the
Yes,
insurance.
in the
insurance
industry.
company.
which then impacts sort of the advice that we were able to give, and there's an automatic guard up, which is understandable
Yeah.
because you wouldn't want to pay for something where you're not going to receive the outcome, you know. And as advisors, we have to work with providers that meet minimum claim requirements. So in the last 5 years, there's not one of our providers that doesn't pay out at least 98%, and the 2% is usually people who don't give the correct information.
Okay.
So in terms of sort of, you know, finishing off on that, really, it's so important. It's so inexpensive to obtain. It's the most leniently underwritten type of plan that you can get, and it solves lots of issues. Most modern plans also include terminal illness, so you can get your plan paid out to you directly before you die.
How the terminal illness works is that if you've got 12 months to live and you've been diagnosed,
If the doctor tells you
doctors
you've
say,
got 12 months.
you've
12
got,
months.
so they pay out the life cover while you're still alive, so that you have some, you can enjoy the money.
But the beauty with it is, at the end of the day, it's what you want to spend. The situation is, we can work to anybody's pocket, and you tell us what you want, and within that there, and how much you're prepared to spend, and we're prepared to do a package for you.
I want to hinge on the reluctancy of taking life insurance. Through the experiences, are there any testimonies, good ones, bad ones, because they failed to take out life insurance? Could you tell me, what's the reluctancy of doing this? Why?
Well, we got experiences, haven't we?
I'd like to hear those, and just speak to the camera. The experience of not taking out insurances.
Well, we did have a client we spoke to who was not that old, in his late 40s, and he said that he is considering life insurance. And life insurance, we're talking about a package, so our life insurance is not just death cover. It is a whole spectrum of covers. You can do critical illness. We've got family income benefit for people who are looking at families. We do income protection. We do whole of lives. We can go into all this. And we really do our life insurance, but we call it protection cover. We don't call it life insurance. We call it protection cover. And it's bespoke to every client.
And
we build a package around them.
Within that also, you've got critical illness. Life insurance is the basic part of it. But as I said previously, it depends on what you want to spend. But you should always have life insurance with critical illness.
Tell me some of
So
it.
this is coming back to the person who we had the conversation with. And then he said he would come back to us in the new year because he's looking to do something. Unfortunately, this person died on New Year's Eve.
It's always around Christmas and New Year, isn't it?
New Year's Eve, he had a brain aneurysm, and his wife called us up thinking that he had taken out insurance. So when we got back to work, just after New Year's, the phone rang, and she said that he'd passed away, and if he'd taken out any insurance, but he didn't, because he was deliberating. He wasn't sure the way he wanted to do it, didn't want to do it, and unfortunately, there are a lot of people in this situation. I mean, look at COVID. It took a lot of people away. Who had not made any allowances for, leave alone life insurance, anything for their future, because no one knew that was going to happen.
Well, I can talk from experience, Bishop, with COVID, because I was in the hospital for nearly a month. The first 2 weeks, I didn't know where I was or what was happening. And then after then, for the last 2 weeks, it was a situation there where I had to depend on oxygen because I needed that. But COVID, where we're concerned, it is something which a lot of people died from that, and it also made people realize the importance of having life insurance because
No one
you
knows
need
what's
to have
going
it
to
and you
happen.
don't know when it's going to be required.
Death is inevitable, but we just don't know. There's no date on it,
Yeah.
and it can happen. So that's why I say it's important that we put our house in order and to talk and to share about that. That's quite sad because I can imagine what that must feel like, not having any money for the burial.
Yes.
And maybe borrowing from family members.
Yeah.
Or
Selling your home.
Selling your home.
sell it. Boy.
People, there's a lot of, when people pass away, there's a lot of what's this, just give pages set up just to get money for the, and we shouldn't be in that position.
No.
You really shouldn't. It doesn't cost a lot of money to take out. And the younger you are and
It's the
the
cheaper, isn't
fitter
it?
you are,
Yeah.
the cheaper it is. And that, when you're well and fit, is the time to take out these insurances so that they can cover you for most of your working life.
But not only if you're single or you're on your own, if you have a family,
Yeah.
Especially.
and if you've
Especially
got
if
kids,
you have a family.
it is a must.
Yeah.
It's a must.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you owe your family that. Because if anything happens to you, that provision is made that you're not there in person, but financially, your family are able to continue living the way you would have wanted them to live while you were around.
You know, this is not really, in a sense, a sales pitch. This is life.
It is
It
life.
is life.
Isn't it?
Very
It's not
much
sales. It's just because it's not a sales
Yeah,
pitch.
no.
This is life. There is a responsibility on an individual to ensure. I mean, the scripture says, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children. It's our corporate responsibility. That's why I'm kind of led to bring in the professionals to talk to us about making sure that our house is in order. Look, I want to go talk also about critical illness insurance. What is that?
It,
Yeah, go on. You do it.
it comes under the banner cancer, heart attack, stroke, multiple sclerosis.
Wow.
Believe it, there is over 100 plus of these
Illnesses, yeah.
illnesses. Some you would have heard of, like I've just said there, but there are a lot of others which it is so incredible that it happened and you didn't realize that it all comes
And it
out.
I suppose you didn't even know it's in the gene pool.
No, it pays out a lump sum. That's how it works. Critical illness pays out a lump sum. We have providers who pay out what we call serious illness, and they pay out a percentage. So if you're diagnosed with something, they could pay out a percentage of your cover, not the whole thing. But we've got also critical illness. Most companies do critical illness, so it pays out a lump sum.
But the situation there with life insurance basically pays out on death. Critical illness pays out while you're alive.
Yes.
It's a big difference,
Yeah,
that
big
is.
difference.
So it's a situation there where people say to you, oh, once I'm dead, and
There's
it's no
need.
good to me. Yeah, but if you have a family, it is a must for your family. Critical illness also, it's a case where, thank God, and I've also experienced this years ago because I had prostate cancer.
Wow.
And I can tell you that within that period of time, because being self-employed, if it hadn't been for the cover that I've had with the prostate cancer, I definitely would not have been able to survive today with a family and also with the business.
That's interesting to know. Would you like to elaborate a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think that just, you know, like, as Mike said, you know, these benefits all do different jobs, and you know, life cover is there for death, as you rightly said, critical illness there while you're alive. And the way that the providers work is that they focus around the most common illnesses first, and as Bridget alluded to, in terms of the serious illness, in paying out a percentage, that's for a plan where you have a lot of illnesses covered up to 145.
45,
So the average is around sort of 43. The claim stats on those are also very, very high, into the sort of low to mid 90s. Not everything can be covered within a critical illness plan because it is quite black and white. Or in terms of the illnesses that are covered, if one isn't, then it's not going to cover you. That's the only downside.
So do you have a medical check? If you're going to apply for critical insurance, do you have to go for a medical?
It depends, Bishop. For young people, very rare would they go for a medical unless there's something suspicious. But obviously, once you get in the 40s, and depending on the amount of cover that you're wanting, that basically is where that comes in. But it's a situation where what we also expect from the client is to give us the fruit, because basically we don't want there to be an instance where, because you didn't give the truth, and when it came for the company to pay out, when they did a background check, they found out that what you told us was not so.
Well, it's called disclosure, and we expect our clients. We do have a document which says that in black and white that we expect them to tell us the whole truth. And the medical is very important, because what is the point in paying these premiums if at the end of the day you can't make a claim?
That's right.
And that's the reason why I say to them, if it's anything, just you think, you've got some people with asthma, arthritis, anything, even if it's a little thing like that, just mention it. We put it down on the application, and if it's relevant, the providers will pick it up. If it's not, it goes through as a standard acceptance case.
And with our experience as well, it's kind of one of those things where if we're told about it, we know how to structure it.
How to deal with it.
So if there is something that's, a common one is high cholesterol, high blood pressure,
and high blood pressure,
and those things can be very easily managed with medication. And when that's the case, we're able to get cases through very easily. But understanding that initially allows us to try to, move things in the right direction for clients. Automatic saves them time, a bit of a headache when we have to do things that get declined and try again. So knowing the truth is really important.
When saying move things in a different, so we know within our industry which providers are out there that would accept someone who's pre-diabetic or diabetic, or they would look at it where they would be. So we know that with our experience, and if the clients tell us this up front, then we would be able to place their policies in that position where, it would get accepted.
Yeah, and at the lowest cost.
At the lowest cost.
I want to come to that. What we're going to do at this moment? We're going to go to a commercial break at this moment, but I want to pick up that, because I think sometimes people always think the cost. I want you to share with us, maybe after the commercial break, about the cost and how it can be most likely tailored to ensure that we can get that insurance cost. Look, don't go away. I think we're dealing with a very important issue here. And I will say it's time that we got our house in order. We'll be back right after this.
This is the notices for Acts Christian Church for this week.
Come as you are and feel the blessings of our Lord every Sunday, 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at Acts Christian Church, where we provide family worship and an uplifting sermon. Acts Christian Church services are at Falsham Hall, 2 Falsham Road, Thornton Heath, CR7 8LQ. You can also find us on all socials on Acts Christian Church. We look forward to seeing you this Sunday. Come as you are and feel the blessings of our Lord every Sunday, 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at Acts Christian Church, where we provide family worship and an uplifting sermon. Acts Christian Church services are at Falsham Hall, 2 Falsham Road, Thornton Heath, CR7 8LQ. You can also find us on all socials on Acts Christian Church.
Why not join the Gospel Train on Saturdays 7 till 10 on vibesfm.net. You'll hear great gospel music from Gospel Kid, the word from our Bishop Mark Nicholson, and the classic sweep from Pastor Lloyd Anthony Hall. The Gospel Train, Saturdays at 7 till 10 a.m. on vibesfm.net.
Why not conduct your own baptismal service with the portable baptismal pool? Easy to assemble. With accessories to heat, fill, and to empty after use. Please call for further information. Welcome back. I'm with my good friends from Mike Hosannah Associates, where their slogan is, and I love this, that's why I keep repeating it, making your financial future our priority. We've been dealing with various areas of financial services, and we were going to continue the subject of critical illness. And we wanted to also look at the cost of this, and I'm sure it will vary, but we're going to hear it from the experts. Aaron, give us some more information about critical illness and the cost, because sometimes, and most often, people run away from the costs.
Yeah,
that's why they don't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think cost is a big part of our job, because ultimately, as Mike said before, we've got to tailor it specifically around people's needs, and that's based on how much people need to be covered for, but also in terms of the cost. Critical illness itself is typically more expensive than life cover.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
As a result of covering at least 45 issues as opposed to one. So critical illness will cover you, like, as we said, for the main events in terms of illness that you'll experience, whereas life cover is just death.
Right.
So there is a real range, but at the same time, there are ways to offset the cost of critical illness. So it could be, for example, that if you've got a family unit, it may be that we're looking at the period of time until the youngest is 21, because that's really the most important financial window of time for people. So cost is important, but trusting us as an advisor is important to allow us to get the best cost for you, essentially, for all of our clients.
But one of the things that we do, which is very, very important, before we look at costs and before we look at what you're going to have, we do what we call a fact find. Now, within this fact find here, it tells us everything that we need to know, and based also on the budget that we've got to play with.
Tell us a little bit about what you need to know. I mean, some people think I'll just keep my things close to my chest. So you're saying in the fact finder tells you about things you've got to know. What type of things?
Well, it's
for instance,
the main thing with doing the fact find, it is the state of your health. Because if you're someone who has no medical problems, then basically we don't need to go that much further into it. But at the end of the day, the fact find also let us know what budget we have to play with and what we can recommend. And as Aaron has said earlier on, if you have a family, obviously it's a lot different to one who's just on your own, where you just, and even on your own, even though life insurance is not that important where we're concerned, critical illness is a must. Because basically, as we say in the business, life insurance pays out when you die. Critical illness pays out while you're alive. And it is a situation where also it assists you in financially being able to offset certain things. And Aaron, I'm quite certain, will be able to tell you more about, because he deals with mortgages, pensions, investments, and inheritance. So, Aaron.
Yeah, but just to finish on cost, because I think maybe what was useful was we talked
It's
about
always going to be the number one thing, isn't it?
It is.
In anything, cost.
And because we said life cover can be sort of from around £10, and I would say that's about right.
Average,
isn't it?
yeah.
About £10 minimum.
Depending on the person's age also.
Absolutely. Critical illness has sort of probably a slightly higher minimum of somewhere between maybe 22.
Depending on your age. Critical illness is also dependent on your age.
It's what, yeah.
Very much dependent on your age. Because even if you don't have any medical and you're over a certain age, the critical illness can be expensive. But if you're just tailoring it to your working life, which is usually now about 68, 70, then, you know, it can work out cheaper. But it's not about the cheapness as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was. Yeah.
The point we don't, you know, if you're looking for cheapness, yes, you can go online and get some cheap insurance.
Yeah.
But that's what we don't do. What we do is we tailor our products to our clients' needs. And that is why, you know, we are financial advisors.
Yeah.
Because we do. Sorry.
No, fine.
Yeah.
You know, we're in a time of cost of living, interest rates going sky high.
Yeah.
It's about, do I eat or do I heat?
Yes.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
so bringing this, which is also vitally important.
It
It's
is.
about how do we balance that? Because cost, what do I do? What's the priority? And that's why I like that. Making your financial future our priority.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes. When a person is saying, what do I do? I need this cover, but can it fit within my cost?
So to come in there, Bishop, like, you know, if someone comes in with no budget, then of course cost is not a problem.
That's right.
But if you have a budget and you give us a budget, we try to work within that budget to give you everything that you need.
Important.
I know that for a
What
fact.
our motto is that it's better to have something than nothing.
Nothing at all.
That's how we work.
Did you want to?
I was just going to say, you know, in terms of, you know, just to say, in addition to what Bridget said earlier around us as advisors in relation to different providers and the getting the fact finding, tailoring it to the client, but it's also important that clients know that as a minimum, the providers that we work with have got to meet those benchmarks. So when you're looking online, there are providers that fall out of those benchmarks in terms of the way that the contracts are written, because ultimately these are all rolling contracts moving into the future to protect your finances, and they are very flexible as a result. But the ones that are online don't have to follow the same rules that the big providers do. So the ones that we work with have got to meet minimum consumer-based benchmarks.
Am I allowed to ask, who are some of the providers that you work with?
Yeah, no,
Yes, we work with most of because we're independent financial advisors, so we work with most of the providers. We work with Aviva, Vitality, AIG, which is American Insurance Group, Legal and General, Royal London,
All known.
LV, Guardian.
Aegon
is out now, but all the top, Exeter, HSBC Life, all the advisors.
So they're all well-known names.
All the main institutions.
Everyone. We work with everybody.
With
Yes.
And they've all got their own independent differences, and that's why it's important to understand what they all do and what works best for clients.
And this is why we need to do the fact find, then we can decide.
Who's
when we go
the best?
to when we do the sourcing, I mean, some of them might come up, say HSBC might come up cheaper than Royal London, but Royal London we know will benefit you more because of the lifestyle you've told us and the fact find that you have. So that's how we do it.
This is a good point now to move on to something that I come up against a lot, which is the LPA, which is lasting power of attorney. In my experience, the things that I've seen has been horrific, because an individual is not able to think for themselves, incapacitated, and you would expect, even if it's the wife working on behalf of the husband, she can't do anything because there's nothing in order or written down. And I think it's important that we understand that a lasting power of attorney is important than anything else. Not just because I'm married, so my wife will take care of my business. I was shocked to know that that just won't work. And I don't know, going through the hoops and the legal just to get that sorted out is not worth it. And I don't think you have to wait till you're so old to have a last. I can have one immediately. Look, I'm no expert, but I know it's important. Could you give us some more information about the importance of a LPA?
Yeah, so there's two different LPAs. They're commonly referred to as health and wealth. And they sort of have taken over, I think it was 2004, I think it was, that they took away from the enduring powers of attorney, which is the old form. And these are a little bit more specifically based in terms of the different areas around, like I say, health and decisions around your finances. So the two do different jobs. Commonly people do LPAs alongside their wills, because it makes sense to try to do things all together. So this is what would happen in relation to our estate, but this is also what would happen in the event of incapacity. This is what would happen if I was... Some people use LPAs if they're abroad most of the year. It's like real sort of top earners or, you know, superstars, that's what they do. They have these LPAs so people can run their affairs while they're abroad. But yeah, I think that's sort of that's the general gist of how LPAs work, and they come in very unique situations, but very important ones, as you mentioned.
But also, people, a lot of people have this idea that if they've done their will, that's it, everything's done.
Yeah, I thought that would be the case.
In the financial services industry, LPAs are more important than wills. The will is the last thing that's going to be read after probate is filed and once you're dead and everything is done. LPAs can come into play while you're still alive, because if you become incapacitated, as Bishop said, or you know, or you have a stroke, you can still think for yourself, but you can't manage your health. We've had a client actually during COVID time who was married, and her husband ended up with COVID in hospital. They didn't have an LPA in place, and then she had to take over to look after the bank stuff, and because they have a few properties which he used to manage. And she called me in late evening one day to say that she'd gone to the bank and the bank would not help her. So she said to me, they asked me for an LPA. What is that? So I said, you need to see a solicitor to get these legal powers of attorney sorted out so that then you can take. Luckily for her, her husband had not lost his mental capacity. So as long as you still have your mental capacity, you can do these LPAs. Once you lose your mental capacity through dementia, for instance, then you can't put these LPAs in place. So you'll really need to put LPAs in place.
And when?
As soon as. And as soon as.
As soon as, when you say as soon as when? As soon as?
As soon as you can see a solicitor. We have our in-house solicitors who we refer to all our clients to put in LPAs. And if you have a mortgage and properties together, you need to have LPAs.
Wow.
People think of covering the mortgage amount, but everything else they forget about, and I'm always insisting on them to do the LPAs because that's important, very, very important. And you need to speak to a solicitor. They will explain to you a lot more because
that's what they're trained for.
That's what they're trained for. We have a team of solicitors who do that.
So, God rest my mother's soul. So that means if my mum was alive and although I'm her son, I take care of everything, and she lost capacity and I was doing stuff on her behalf, somebody could say, I'm sorry, I know you're her son, but there's nothing here telling me
that
you can withdraw £50 or 50 pence from her account. But you've seen me. But that's my mum.
Or thousands for care costs, for example.
Yeah, for care costs. But that's not just the only thing, though, Bishop. You can't even. So say your mum had to go into hospital, and the ventilator needed to be turned off or whatever. You can't make that decision.
Unless
you have the LPA.
I know.
It doesn't matter if it's your wife or your mum.
Wow.
See?
Yeah, you need to have the LPAs.
And I think it's a good segue from looking at the sort of protection side of things and looking at LPAs, because both of them require for you to be healthy at the time of obtaining them.
Yes.
So with LPAs, you know, you need to have mental capacity to make these financial decisions, and with the protection side of things, you need to be in good health in order to obtain it. If you're not, then unfortunately it's not possible in some cases to obtain cover for you.
So what happens if I don't have an LPA, but something just happens? What's the route that one takes? Is it all through the courts?
Yeah, it's expensive. It's long.
Wow.
I think one of the most difficult ones is when elderly people who have got dementia need to be put into care, which costs a lot of money, and you find that has a lot of a great deal of strain on people's finances, on the younger generation, which would be able to be solved by often selling perhaps the property that the person was in, but they just don't have the facility to make that decision.
So who makes that decision on that individual? Does the government step in and make those decisions?
There's the Court of Protection,
but that's where you need
Protection. Which is where you need to appeal to.
Wow.
Because you need to register the LPA with, I think it's the Office of the Public Guardian.
It's online. You can go and check these out.
And apologies if I got this wrong, but I'm quite sure that if you register with the Office of the Public Guardian and with the LPAs, but if you need to make an appeal to take control over someone's finances, it takes months and months, and it's through the Court of Protection.
But we refer all our clients to a solicitor or a husband and wife team again, who we have in-house again, and they come and see you at your home, or with Bishop's permission, maybe visit you here, have a clinic. But they would handle all that for you. We do financial side of it, but the LPAs, the wills, probates, all the legal side about creating the trust. So what we do is we would tell our clients to be aware of these things, like make sure that you have the LPAs, tell them what it is about, what the will is about. But then to get that sorted out, they need to see a solicitor.
Wow, we've covered a lot today, and we could go on and on and on this. And as I said, I and yourself most likely have seen disappointed faces because they did not have their house in order. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm just bringing this awareness to you right this moment. Maybe it's something you've been thinking about. It's something that you're thinking, who do I go to? Who do I know that will give me the right service? And as a trusted voice for the community, I can say directly, I've known Mike, Bridget, and just got to know Aaron directly for, as I said, 35 more years that dealt with our family situation. And we have benefited. And I think it's only right, my corporate responsibility, as I always say, to bring an awareness of these services to you. You can see the name underneath, the telephone number, the contact. If you're thinking about, getting things in place, especially about wills, we haven't even touched that directly. I think it's important. We talk about the LPAs, important, critical insurance. We talked about that. We also could talk about income protection, which is so important.
Yes.
The list just goes on and
Whole
on.
of life, mortgages, pensions.
Pension.
We do the whole lot.
And if I may come in here, Bridget and I basically, we're husband and wife, but we've been together in business over 40 odd years. Now, at one stage, we did everything within the financial services, but now it's a situation for the last 10 years, we've been doing only protection and general insurance. We always had to outsource pensions, investments, and whatever with other colleagues within the franchise. Now it's a situation where Aaron has joined us from January. What's been missing within our business, Aaron is now fulfilling that role because he deals with pension, mortgages, investments, inheritance. So it's a situation there where Mike and Hosannah Associates, we now do a complete package because basically by having Aaron there, what was missing, that is now completed.
Excellent. Aaron, just to kind of round this up and just look into the camera and just again, I know Mike's already reiterated directly what you do, but maybe just tell them where you're located as well, where you're located so they can find you.
Yeah, so we're based down in Tooting. That's where we have the main office where we can see you directly, or you can give us a call. You've got the number there. I think it's really important to know that even if you're not sure which service you need, or even if you're not sure on what it is that we can do for you, if you give us a call, it's completely free to just have a conversation and to see what's possible. That's a big part of what we do, try and solve problems for people using all of the tools and experience that we have. As you've heard from Mike, very experienced across the whole industry. I've been an advisor for 10 years, and I've joined Mike and Bridget very recently, but I've known them for the last 7?
7 years.
Wow,
a long
I
time.
didn't know that. Okay.
So it's we really do have the complete package to be able to assist you across everything.
Excellent. And Bridget, what would you look in the camera and tell someone out there who's maybe thinking about, you know what, I need to get this thing done? What would be your advice to them?
I would say pick up the phone, give us a call, and see how we can help, because there's always something we can do. And it's not about the budget, it's not about the cost, it's really firstly to see how we can help you.
You know, Bishop, people say, I can easily go online and get insurance. But the situation is with dealing with us, it doesn't cost you anything. Just, as Bridget said, pick the phone up, and we give the whole package where basically you don't have, because there is nothing better than having face-to-face advice, because that's what we're there for. Nothing is better than that.
Thank you. Well, there you have it. I feel there's a weight off my shoulders because this is my responsibility to the community that I work with, talk with, eat with, share with. I just want to put you on the right track and put you in the hands of trusted individuals that can get your financial position in line. Well, all I'm left to do at this moment is to thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Bridget, and thank you, Mike, for taking the time to be with us, that we could talk about how we can make your financial future a priority. Now, as you know, for the community, we believe in God. We know He protects us. Thank God for that. But once we're on this earth, I think there's also a responsibility that we need to make. And it's finding trusted people like these people who help us to enjoy life even when we're not in life on this earth. Well, thank you for joining us. And please remember, we are the head and not the tail. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you, Bishop.
Christian Church, where you're the head and not the tail.